Hey guys, this is metaloidmonkey here, commentating on another one of Spada's games. This is the fourth game for Wild Arms FX on Tundra. It's Anders vs. Cutter. Now, I'd just like to take a moment just to mention that now I'm in college now, and I've moved into my dorm and everything. And so, usually I would just talk at normal volume and everything, and just leave it like that, but for this I've turned to my mic volume, so I'm just going to talk softer, because I don't want to disturb anyone else. But basically, this matchup favors Anders, and Spada's just going to go for the typical hog build. Now, I mean, as Cutter, I personally like the soupy strat, which is where you build an elephant, a turret, you take the base next to you quickly, and boom to tech 3 for cobras. But I mean, you could pretty much do whatever you want, whatever you think will work better. And so he's once again collecting supplies on the outside of the map, just to try to keep his hogs safe for now.
Local units.
And see that BB2010 still hasn't uploaded his videos for his Mighty Icy that he really should upload. And especially because now he has a mic, he can maybe he wants to do like live commentary on some vids if he makes any new ones, that is.
All units.
So once again, it's just getting supplies. Still nothing important. He needs to make sure, he needs to check to see, he really should check to see if Wild Arms is going for hogs at all, or if he's just going to go for the soupy strat. Not sure why he deleted that reactor for a second.
Local units.
Oh, there I am, I guess, joining the party after I got host booted. And Spada's just trying to get rams on Wild Arms' hog just to gain an early lead. Now, in this matchup, you can, as Anders, you can go into tanks and gremlins or hornets and gremlins. I would probably just go for tanks and gremlins, just because you're versing Cutter, and thing is that Cutter can't make gremlins, so that I feel like you're just better off that way. Because I prefer hornets and Anders mirrors and tanks versus other UNSCs like Cutter and Forge. So he's doing something unusual here, I guess, because he deleted the reactor. He delayed it a bit, so now he's doing a 6-hog reactor third gunner, which is, I mean, come on, a reactor when you go 5-hog reactor third gunner, you're already delaying. But by getting the extra hog, I don't see what it really does for him. I just don't. Just check for turrets with the rally point glitch.
All units.
And just probably just gonna send his hogs over to the base, try to do any damage, as much damage as he can.
Gunner research.
Just trying to upgrade pads quickly, just to gain an eco advantage later in the game. It's usually advisable to do that versus UNSC. Wild Arms has 2 weak hogs behind his base. Spada picks off one of them with a quick ram and picks up the other one shortly afterwards. Wild Arms has way more hogs than I thought. So he had like 5 hogs there, and he's upgraded 3 pads already. So Spada should be able to go get an early hog lead. Oh, but he's got a turret. Okay. So that's what's going on there. Wild Arms is just trying to kite Spada with the turret. Spada really should still try to sit and pick the building pad, but it's risky when they have a turret like that. His hogs are closer for the pickoff. Spada really needs to just pull his hogs out of there, don't even bother, and then just expo. Because he has greater hog numbers, so he has map control. And since he built a turret, Wild Arms will be behind.
Local units.
That'll let him take the expo safely and be able to hold it. I mean, the only way that Wild Arms will be able to take the expo out is if he goes over and max it early enough. Spada should try to take the expo at the south side of the map, because that's the better option. And here, because Wild Arms keeps building hogs and he's just using the turret and everything, he's now has even numbers of hogs with Spada, even though Spada has more health. But I mean, it looks like any like hog lead Spada has now is just gone, especially because Spada stopped building hogs. And Wild Arms is still building hogs. So Spada doesn't want the expo. He would have They have a nice lead right now, but now they're both getting vehicle depots. And Wild Arms actually clicked his vehicle depot up a bit before Spada and had his eco upgraded, but since Spada has gremlins, he has a huge advantage here, especially before in the early game, before the units start getting canister shell and stuff. Because I mean, a double pump of candy tanks can beat a single pump of tanks and gremlins.
Vehicle depot complete.
That is if the person building tanks and gremlins doesn't have Tech 3 yet. If they're just building regular tanks and regular gremlins. But it really is it's a numbers game. Now Spada sees that he's going for a Tech 3 right there. I mean, and even though Spada's only got like, he doesn't even have a tank yet, he's got to get a tank.
All units.
He could just push over on Wild Arms' base.
All units.
It'll force Wild Arms to build units rather than upgrading Canny or something right away. And just delay him
All units.
from getting his upgrades and possibly down teching.
All units. All units.
I'm not sure why Spada's going towards that base. He really, since he has tanks out on the floor, he really should just take the base next to him. It's just an easier option, and he gets a whole bunch of crates for clearing it. So that'll I would help pay for the base itself. And it does look like Wild Arms does a candy down tech. I mean, maybe he built a Cobra or so, but I'm just assuming just because of the way he did that with the reactor. Spada's not doing what I think he should do. I think he personally should just keep building tanks and gremlins, and then he doesn't need Tech 3. But he's actually saved for Tech 3 right now. And I think I hear my roommate coming back, so that'll be interesting.
All units. Reactor improved.
Yeah, Spada's going for his Canny right now, and he's looks like he's gonna click up focusing lens as well. And he down techs. Oh, that's all right. He's just trying to get the a better eco, so that he can more easily build those tanks and gremlins. Gremlins can't stun rebel base turrets, so he should really just have he should lead into that with the tank, so the tank can tank the damage.
All units.
Powered up.
He shouldn't be hovering by that mega turret, because those 3-star infantry will just tear you up.
All units. All units.
And he's just clicking on the turret and seeing if the base is there still.
Canister shell research.
So now he's got Canny. He's gonna try to at least do a little something. And he sees that Wild Arms did clear that base, like just cleared the base, and there's all those crates.
All units.
And so he's just gonna try to stun the turret, and Canny's the turret, trying to just take health off the turret.
All units.
Really, he could kill it, but he doesn't want to get caught by his tank, by Wild Arms' tanks, because Wild Arms is gonna have more tanks. And as you see there, as Spada was running away, he got Canny. He took a little bit of damage there. Wild Arms has two tanks chasing. He's got another Canny on Spada's tank. And Spada loses his tank. That's not very good. But it still doesn't really matter that much, just because Spada's gonna have all these gremlins on the floor. As long as he keeps gremlin numbers up, he should be fine.
Yes, sir.
All units. All units. All units.
I mean, just building tanks and gremlins is really it's very simple. Any tool bag named Limits could do it.
All units. All units. All units.
It's just such an easy matchup to win. I mean, Cutter really when you have an Anders versus Cutter on a map like this, it really just puts Cutter in such a tough spot, because Cutter specializes with his hook control because the elephants help out.
All units.
I mean, Anders will have Gunner first. Anders can go hogs better, it's just easier. And so Spada's right now is rally pointing around on the pads of that base just to see if Wild Arms has taken that base, and he sees that Wild Arms has taken that base, because when he tried to put a rally point on the back pad, it wouldn't let him place it. It's the same thing as the turret glitch, except he had to place the rally point on where supply pads would be. So he's just going to pick that hog off as it was going to go scout his base.
All units.
And right there he sees Wild Arms has 4 candy tanks. and what he needs to do is he needs to pull back his other forces, and he really needs to just go around the other way and meet him at his base. But instead he's engaging, so he really needed to engage differently, and he should not be moving towards that turret. That's really bad on his part. He should really take the advantage of having those rebels attack Wild Arms' stuff while he fights them. And he cryos, but he cryos himself as well. If he didn't cryo himself, he would have easily won this engagement. But I mean, and it takes a match in the face. I mean, so but now he's got an expo, and I don't think Wild Arms knows that yet. So if Wild Arms pushes on the expo, then Wild Arms really does have a good chance of winning this game. But since Spada can double pump Gremlins, and Wild Arms already uses Mac, Spada just needs to really just keep stunning Wild Arms just to delay him until he gets enough tanks out to fight. And it's just quick. He is being teased by those crates sitting in front of the base because it's 90 supplies right there, and he has nothing to collect them. I think it's actually 89 supplies, even though it's technically supposed to be 90. But I mean, that's just from gathering supplies at the beginning of the game. You just kind of pick that up.
Yes, sir. All units. All units. All units.
He's having fun with his rally point. I guess he really has nothing better to do.
All units.
Because he can't really push right now, because he doesn't have tank lead, and he doesn't have that many gremlins on the floor. And the longer Wild Arms waits, the greater the advantage shifts towards Spada. Because Spada doesn't really, Spada can fight like PT tanks with a bunch of gremlins and candy tanks.
All units.
As long as of course as long as Wild Arms isn't on a full pop of PT.
All units.
I mean, just this game is so I don't even know if I'd call this high level here. Just because of how lazy this game is. Like they're not. It's been like a few minutes now, and they haven't even seen each other's units or bases for that matter. There's just absolutely like no harassment going on. I feel like at this point, if Wild Arms went for ODSTs, he could win this, just because neither of them are doing anything. I mean, Wild Arms got the Mega Turret. Now, I don't know if it's really advisable to go for that in a UNSC mirror. I mean, I feel like that's more of a late game thing if you're going to do it at all. But it's just that the thing is, if you're going to clear the Mega Turret, you have to clear it without losing any units, and you can't really waste time sitting over there. You just got to be able to do it quickly. So there, Wild Arms takes out Spada's VD with the Mega Turret. Yeah, come in. Is it open?
All units.
Alright, 1 second. I don't know how to pause the voiceover.
Gremlin ready.
Yep. Oh, I'm ready to talk to you.
Yeah, good.
I'm sorry, I'm just running over that thing too.
Yeah.
Station upgrade complete.
I was just a tech guy making sure that I was all set up, and I'm good to go.
All units.
So it was a
All units.
lousy engagement there. Nothing really happened. Just threw some. Just trying to clear out those towers, but he doesn't want to get caught by those cannies and get his gremlins picked. He loses some there. He really needs to put those gremlins behind his tanks.
All units.
And just keep those numbers up.
All units.
Because since he lost that depot on that base, he got the time to go for a station and get another VD up.
Ready to go. Orders on it. Fueled up. I'm there.
All units.
I mean, I feel like if he didn't even bother with going for Tech 3 in the beginning, and he just pushed with more units, he would just win right there and be done with it.
Scorpion ready for combat.
But okay. So he's just gonna play it late game. Still never took out that tower on the bottom side. It was close to dying, but not quite. So since Wild Arms Mega Turreted Spada's base, it looks like he might try to push on it. Spada just throws a heal on it just to make sure it has the best chance of living by having the most health possible. And he's also taking the opportunity to heal some of his gremlins that were injured. He just really wants to make sure that the base got the heal, so he threw it on the base first and then walked in there to split the rest of it up with his gremlins.
All units.
So he finds Wild Arms tanks right here. meant to go try to cryo, but he accidentally scrolled over on Pelican. He's got a Pelican, the enemy's tank, that's great. And so he's able to do a bunch of damage right now. Here, that's pretty good for him. He really should just pull off now before they get unfrozen. And then they get unfrozen, because now there's all those canny things just sitting there. Unfortunately, but actually, never mind. Really, he was good that he pushed up there. I didn't. I forgot to. I thought he didn't think he used his cannies yet.
All units. All units.
And so you see there now he uses his cannies. When you use your cannies, your tanks stop moving, so it lets enemy tanks catch you. If you think you're just gonna canny and run away, you're sadly mistaken.
All units.
Send me in.
All units. All units.
Sparky.
Yeah, those Marines aren't even upgraded. I'm telling you, I really do. Just because of how like slow this game's pace is, and I think it's kind of sad at the same time. As I feel like Wild Arms could have gotten ODSTs and gotten away with it. Like that's how sad I think this is.
Here we go.
Because the ODSTs will kill the gremlins, and then the tanks will fight the tanks.
Standing by.
All units. All units.
Fueled up.
All units.
Tank on the move.
And that would just be a troll strat, making Spada look like shit. But it's okay, BB-2010 already did that.
Orders.
All units.
There now.
All units. All units. All units.
Scorpion rolling out.
All units.
So,
All units.
I mean, it's funny, I mean, Wild Arms kind of just buckles. He goes for power turret, but it doesn't matter. Because he's got all these gremlins on the floor. I mean, you start getting to the point where Tech 4 gets on the floor, and Anders is going to win. Just because Chain Amp is just such a dominant game changer. Power turret, not so much.
All units. All units. All units. All units.
Warmed up.
All units.
So Spada looks after he's down Tech 30. It looks like he's going to go back for try to get Tech 4 just so he can get power turret.
All units.
I don't know, if I was in his position, I'd probably actually just go for Hawks just because it's funny, and it would work. Actually, I don't know if it would work. I don't know if Wild Arms still has his Tech 3. If Wild Arms doesn't have his Tech 3, then Hawks would be very funny.
We're ready. Orders.
I've always wanted to get Hawks in a legitimate game. A legitimate high-level game. I've gotten them in legitimate games.
All units.
Just but that's usually when I'm trying to 1v2 in like UA2s and stuff. Oops, and I tried to run a Hawks build on repository. You get Hawks and reserves queued at 640, but let's just say it's still not fast enough. It doesn't work.
Local units.
Heading out.
Local units.
On our way.
Because by that time they've already scouted you and you're just building Wolverine. They're already building Wolverines and vampires, and it's not fun.
Reactor
Just gonna
complete.
click on power turret and chain amp, making sure he does that in his main base, because he still doesn't want Wild Arms to push on his Expo and kill it.
All units.
I don't like how he has his tanks between that other location, because he's not really in a good place to defend anything. He's gonna get another supply pad there, but I mean,
All units.
it's not gonna be that's not a very significant supply pad. He really could just get
All units.
a barracks there and try to get Spartans or even a field armor and try to get reserves to help himself out.
Ready to go. Here we go.
And yeah, he definitely needs to throw a heal on that tank, but I mean, there's Wild Arms' tanks, and he should just pull out and just try to wait until he gets his chain amp and PT.
Power turret reset.
Alright, yeah, now that chain amp's done, he's got no gremlin stuns, that's great. And now he's got one stun because his new gremlin came out. And it's with when Anders gets chain amp, it's still a tank fight. I mean, it's over. Gremlins are just so mean. They just, I mean, they deserve every bit of that name they have.
All units.
They're little gremlins.
All units. All units.
Still don't know what the game creators thought when they when they gave Anders gremlins. They gave anyone gremlins.
Yes, sir.
They didn't even like think that would be a huge advantage. Like, oh yeah, but Fortune built Cyclops to counter them. No, we can't.
All units.
Not at all.
All units.
Yes, sir. Attacking.
All units.
I mean, any leader that has gremlins is OP.
All units. All units. All units. All units.
Charge and firing.
All units.
I don't know. I just,
Firing.
All units.
I love how everyone has their favorite unit.
Final way.
I mean, I love gremlins and everything, but I really, and
All
sacrifice
units.
banshees are fun, but I still think hawks are my
All
favorite just because they're
units.
fun.
Supply pad
Not just because they're
complete.
fun, but just
All
because
units.
people always underestimate
All
hawks
units.
just because Hornets suck so badly.
All units.
Hornets suck, hawks are actually pretty good. The whole problem with them is just that you need Tech 4 to build them, and so
Target.
by the time you get there,
All units.
they've already got you
units.
countered.
All units.
And so Wild Arms
All
max
units.
spot and just takes out a few of his gremlins there. Doesn't really matter though,
Locked in.
because
All units.
Wild Arms lost all of his units, and
All
Spada
units.
still has both bases.
Supply pad complete.
And he only needs one depot because he can
All
just single
units.
pump tanks and double pump gremlins with chain amp,
All units.
and it's over.
Where to? Charging.
The only thing that would
All
give
units.
Wild Arms a chance is if he had like an
All
entire
units.
thing of Cobras sitting there, but he
All
doesn't
units.
because he just lost his entire army.
All units.
Ready. We're going.
No, it might have been good if he had
All
a Marine
units.
in that cover there next to the base so that he could fight Spada's units with the
units.
little garrison there to help himself out. Spada really should stun that turret with one of his gremlins.
Yes, on it. Charge and firing.
And yeah, his Wild Arms actually has more tanks than I thought he would.
All units.
Maybe I just wasn't watching the
All
time.
units. All
But I mean, it's
units.
pretty much the way it goes.
All units.
And I mean, it's not much to say about this game. It's just a total leader advantage,
All units.
just taking effect. And I mean, I definitely wouldn't. I would definitely have played this differently, taken the expo out earlier. And if I wasn't able to do that, I would have just taken a tank and taken the base out next to me, and taken those crates to help myself out. And definitely just pushed when he went for Tech 3 on the candy down tech, just to make it easier on yourself, so that you didn't have to do this long game with Tech 4 involved.
All units.
I mean, there's always a risk that they could like Cobra up, but I mean, all you gotta do is just sit around their base with your tanks and don't get PT and stuff, and don't let them push up. And actually, I like to tech hawks, just totally counters people when they make Cobras, because then you start like triple pumping hawks after you lose your tanks, and there isn't nothing they can do. I mean, you could just leave their Cobras and pop, but it doesn't matter.
You are
And
victorious.
so Wild Arms